Hello students, how are you? So till now in animal tissues we have discussed epithelial tissue and the nervous tissue. Okay, in epithelial tissue I told about them that they form covering of external surfaces, internal cavities, organs of animal body. They are tightly packed and form a continuous sheath. Okay, then their function that they form a barrier to keep different body systems separate, and the permeability of various epithelia play an important role, a very major role in regulating the exchange of materials between the body and external environment. Okay. Then we discussed various types of epithelial tissues, that were simple squamous epithelium, stratified squamous epithelium, columnar epithelium and the cuboidal epithelium. In simple squamous epithelium I told you that the cells are simple, flat and extremely thin kind. Okay. They are present in the lining of blood vessels or lung alveoli. Clear? Simple squamous. Then stratified squamous epithelium, they are also the same squamous epithelium but arranged in different layers or a pattern of layers. That is why the name was given as stratified squamous epithelium. Okay. They are present in the skin which protects the body. That is why the name, the main function we discussed also of epithelial, that it is a protection. Then we discussed about columnar epithelium. They are present basically where absorption and secretion occurs, as in the inner lining of intestine. Okay. The cells of the columnar epithelium are tall, and with the help of diagram I told you that the nucleus of the columnar epithelial is present near the base of the cell. Okay. In certain like respiratory tract, on outer surface of epithelial cells, columnar epithelial cells, there are hair like projections that are called cilia, and due to presence of cilia they are known as ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay. These cilia can move and their movement pushes the mucus forward to clear it. Okay. Whatever the microorganism or the thing has been trapped over it, okay, in it. Then we discussed the cuboidal epithelium. They were cuboidal in shape, forms the lining of kidney tubules and ducts of salivary glands. Then in some cases a portion of epithelial tissue folds inwards and form glandular epithelium. As I told you, they secrete, so they also perform function of secretion and absorption. Okay. Then we discussed about nervous tissue. Cells of nervous tissue were highly specialized for being stimulated and then transmitting the stimulus very rapidly from one place to another within the body. Okay. Brain, spinal cord, all composed of nervous tissue, and very important that the cell of nervous tissue are called neurons. Okay. Then we took then we have seen the diagram of the neuron also. So I hope the epithelial tissue and the nervous tissue is clear to you. The next type of tissue that we are going to start today is the connective tissue. Okay students, two kinds of tissues are left in this chapter, that is connective tissue and the muscular tissue. So let's start with the connective tissue. The cells of connective tissue are loosely spaced and embedded in an intercellular matrix. Okay. Matrix means the space inside the cell, intercellular matrix. They are specialized to connect various body organs, and the examples are blood, bones, cartilage, ligaments and tendons, etc. Okay. These are some different kinds of connective tissue. As the name suggests students, connective means they are helping to establish a connection between two things. Okay. So that is why they are known as connective tissue. Okay. So let us start with first, that is blood, or we can say the plasma. Okay. Basically the plasma. Plasma, the fluid matrix of blood is called plasma. It is a yellowish liquid like material. Plasma contains three types of blood cells suspended in it, namely RBCs, WBCs and platelets. We all know about RBCs, the red blood cells. They are red in color, they contain hemoglobin, and what is the main role of RBCs? That they transport oxygen. They bind with the oxygen and the compound that forms is oxyhemoglobin. Okay. Then that oxygen is transported to various parts of the body with the help of RBCs, because they are present in the blood and blood flows throughout the body. Okay. So the main function of RBC is to transport oxygen to various parts of the body, okay, or various organs or various cells. Clear? Then comes the WBCs, that are white blood cells. They are responsible for the immunity. Okay. They are responsible for the immunity of the body. And then third comes the platelets. Platelets are responsible for clotting of blood. Okay, so I hope it is clear, plasma. Now let's take a look at next one, that is bones. It is also a connective tissue that forms a framework that supports the body. Very important, because you know that our skeletal system is the main thing that it supports the body. It gives the body a particular shape. Okay, why? Because it is hard. Okay, so that it gives the support to the body. Then it is strong and non-flexible tissue. Bones is strong and non-flexible tissue. Third point, bone cells are embedded in a hard matrix that is composed of calcium as phosphorus compounds. Very important. Okay, the bone cells are embedded in a hard matrix, the matrix that is hard. Okay, and it is composed of mainly calcium and phosphorus compounds. Clear, students? Now let's take a look at ligaments. Another kind of connective tissue which connects two bones. Okay, two bones are connected to each other by a connective tissue called ligaments. This tissue is flexible or elastic in nature. It has a considerable strength and very little matrix. See, students, you can wherever the joint is present, means where the bone is attached to another bone, you can see you can move. Okay, like the elbow joint. So the ligaments attach bone to bone, and this tissue is flexible or elastic in nature. That's why it prevents certain movement of the bones, or you can say the two bones. Okay, so this tissue is very flexible or elastic in nature. It has a considerable strength and a very little matrix. Again, what is ligament? The two bones are connected to each other by a connective tissue called ligament. Clear, students? So students, next type of connective tissue is tendons. In ligaments, we studied that the two bones are connected to each other. Now, what are tendons? The bones connected to muscles with the help of tendons. Okay. So the first point, bones are connected to the muscle by another type of connective tissue named as tendons. Tendons are fibrous tissue with great strength but limited flexibility. Okay. Here the flexibility is limited, but they show a greater strength. Okay. So now you have studied two, tendons and ligaments. Ligaments join bone to bone and tendons join bone to the muscle. Clear? Very important. Ligaments, it was flexible or elastic in nature. Tendons also are flexible, but they have a limited flexibility, but they have a great strength. Okay, or they are fibrous tissue, the tendons. Okay. The next one is cartilage. It has widely spaced cells, means the cells have spaces between them. Cartilage. The solid matrix of this tissue is composed of proteins and sugar. Very important point. Okay, the composition of cartilage. The solid matrix of this tissue is composed of proteins and sugars. Third, cartilage smoothens bone surfaces at joints and is also present in the nose, ear, trachea and larynx. Cartilage of ear can be folded. Okay, so very important thing that it has widely spaced cells. The solid matrix of this tissue is composed of proteins and sugars, and it smoothens the bone surface at joints and is also present in the nose, ear, trachea and larynx. Okay, student, see how the question related to the connective tissue will come. Mainly if it will give you a organ. Okay, for example, if it asking about cartilage, it will be saying which connective tissue is present in nose, or the tip of the nose and the ear. So you can say cartilage. Okay, you need to remember these things. Getting it? Like which tissue connects bone to bone? So you know it's ligament. Which tissue connects bone to muscles? Then it is tendons. Clear, students? So till now we have discussed plasma, bones, ligaments, tendons, cartilage. Okay. Shall we move? Okay. The next one is areolar tissue. Okay, we have to study now two types, areolar tissue and adipose tissue. First of all is areolar tissue. They are found in skin and muscles, around the blood vessels, nerves, etc. It fills the space inside the organs, supports internal organs and helps in repair of tissue. So you can say it is a very important connective tissue. Where it is found? It is found in the skin, muscles, around the blood vessels, very important, around the nerves also, around blood vessels and nerves, and also found in the bone marrow. Okay. what does it do? It fills the space inside the organs, supports internal organ, where you know the internal organs are delicate organs, so it supports internal organs and helps in repair of tissue. Whether if a tissue gets damaged, then it helps in the repairing of the tissue. Okay. Then the next is the adipose tissue. Okay. It is found between internal organs and below the skin. The adipose tissue is found between internal organs and below the skin. The main function is it stores fat and act as a insulator. It stores fat so that fat does not allow the heat to pass from our body to the surroundings. Okay. So, that also helps to trap some amount of heat. So, that is why it is saying it acts as an insulator. You must have studied two terms, conductors and insulators. The substance that allowed the heat to pass through them are called as conductors. For example, you can lay very metals, all the metals are good conductors. And insulators, the substance that does not allow the heat to pass through them are called insulators. Okay, you know that plastic, wood, etc., they are bad conductor of heat. So, that is why they are called as insulators. Okay. So, I hope it is clear. Adipose tissue, it is found between internal organs and below the skin, and it stores fat and act as insulator. So, students, this was all about the connective tissues. Okay. We studied about plasma, bones, ligaments, tendons, cartilage, areolar tissue and adipose tissue. Okay. You need to remember the main functions and what is the main properties of all the connective tissues. Okay. So, students, after studying the connective tissues, it is time for the next kind of tissue, that is the muscular tissue. Okay. Another very important kind of tissues. Muscular tissues consist of elongated cells, also called muscle fibers. This tissue is responsible for movement in our body. Okay. Muscles contain special proteins called contractile proteins, which contract and relax to cause movement. Okay. The tissue consists of elongated cells that are called as muscle fibers. These muscle fibers have the property of contraction and relaxation. Okay. They contain special protein that have contractile protein, that are known as contractile proteins. Okay. In senior classes you will learn more about them, their name like actin and myosin, but here you need to remember that there are special proteins, certain special proteins that are called contractile proteins, which contract and relax and they causes the movement. Okay. So, these muscular tissues are of three types. Okay. Now, we will be studying the type. They are of three types. First is striated muscles, skeletal muscles or voluntary muscle. Same, all the three are same. Now, let us take a look at the first one, striated muscles or skeletal muscle or voluntary muscles. Okay. See, these muscles are called skeletal muscles as they are mostly attached to the bones and help in the body movement. Okay. So, the first name, that skeletal muscle, why it is named so? Because they are mostly attached to the bones of the body and helps in the body movement. Okay. Next, cells are cylindrical, unbranched and multinucleate, very important. Okay. Remember this after discussing all the three types, when we will be looking at the diagram. Okay. So, you need to remember cells are cylindrical, unbranched, okay, means it is a single, and multinucleate, no branches are there. Multinucleate means more than one nucleus in the cell. Clear? Then we can move these muscles when we want to, so they are called voluntary muscles. Now, what is the meaning? We can move these muscles by conscious will, like the muscles of hand, limbs. We can move them when we want to and stop when we so decide. So, it is completely under our control. That is why the name is given as voluntary muscle. Okay. Under microscope, these muscles show alternate light and dark bands, or you can say striations. So, that is why another name that is given to them is striated muscles. Okay. When they are observed under microscope after proper staining, okay, the muscles are stained properly to have a clear view under the microscope. When they are viewed under the microscope by proper staining, these muscles show alternate light and dark bands. Okay. So, that is why they are called as striated muscles, that alternate light and dark bands are called striations. So, that is why they are called as striated muscles. Okay students, so this was all about striated muscles or skeletal muscles or voluntary muscles. Okay, you need to remember each and every point, very important. Okay, next one is that comes in the next second type is smooth muscles or involuntary muscles. Okay, now the movement, if I say the movement of food in the alimentary canal or the contraction and relaxation of the blood vessels, what are they? They are involuntary movements. We cannot start them or stop them simply by wanting to do so. Okay, once you have swallowed the food, now it is not under your control whether you can hold the food in the food pipe. It will go to the stomach, okay, by the contractile movement of the oesophagus or the food pipe. Okay, so it is not under our control, or we cannot really start them or stop them simply by wanting to do so. Means if we want to stop them or we want to start them, it is not like that. Okay, getting students? So these are involuntary muscles. Clear? We discussed about voluntary muscles. Voluntary muscles were when we can move these muscles when we want to, means they are under our direct control, and the muscles that are not in our control, that are involuntary muscles. They are found in iris of eye, in ureters and in bronchi of lungs. Okay, very important. They are found in iris of eye, in ureters and in bronchi of lungs. Now important thing is cells are long, spindle shaped and possess a single nucleus. Okay, cells are long, spindle shaped and possess a single nucleus. Clear students? The third kind of muscles is the cardiac muscles. Okay, the special muscle, these, as the name suggests, cardiac muscles, the muscles of the heart. Okay, the muscles of the heart, you know, show rhythmic contraction and relaxation throughout the life. We have studied the atrial contraction, ventricles contract and relax. Okay, that's why the blood moves throughout the body. So the muscles of heart show rhythmic contraction and relaxation throughout the life, and these are also these are also involuntary muscles, because this rhythmic contraction of the heart is not under our control, or it is not like that according to our will it can be controlled. Okay, so they helps in rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the heart. Second point, cells are cylindrical, branched and uninucleate. In striated, I told you cells were cylindrical, unbranched and multinucleate. Here the cells are cylindrical, branched and uninucleate. Okay, and the third point is they are involuntary muscles. Clear student? Very important, because why involuntary muscles? You cannot control. Okay, if you run fast, then the heartbeat becomes the faster if you run. Okay, or if you are doing any work, and after some time if you stop, then the heartbeat comes to normal. So it is not under your control. Okay, it is adjusted by the body. So that's why they are known as involuntary muscle. Okay students, so these were the three kinds of muscles: striated muscles, smooth muscles and the cardiac muscles. Okay, so students, we have discussed all the three muscles. Now let's take a look at them. First of all, that I told you was striated muscles or skeletal muscles or the voluntary muscles. I told you that the cells of these muscles are cylindrical. You can look at cylindrical cells, unbranched, they are not branched, and multinucleate. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so these are multinucleate, more than one nucleus, and striations is present. That is why known as striated muscles. You can see this lining, these are striation, light, dark, light, dark. Okay, these are the striations when they are seen under the microscope by proper staining. Okay students, so this is the striated muscles. Okay, this diagram is also given in the NCERT. Okay, so this was the striated muscles. Next one is the smooth muscles. They are found, I told you, in the iris of the eyes, in ureters and in bronchi of lungs. Okay, cells are long, spindle shaped and possess a single nucleus. Getting students? I told you that the movement of them is not under our control, so that is why they are known as involuntary muscles, whereas the striated muscles or the skeletal muscles, they were under our control, so that's why they were known as voluntary muscles. Getting students? Very important differences. Then the next one that we discussed was cardiac muscles. Now you can take a look. In cardiac muscles, I told you that the cells are cylindrical, branched and uninucleate. Okay, and the cells in the smooth muscles, the cells are spindle shaped. Okay, I told you that the cells in the smooth muscles are spindle shaped and possess a single nucleus. Okay. Now the cardiac muscles, the cells are cylindrical, you can see as branched, yes they are branched also, and uninucleate. Each cell contains a single nucleus, you can see in the diagram. They are branched and uninucleate and cylindrical cells, and most importantly they are the involuntary muscles. Okay students, getting it? So these were the three kinds of muscular tissue that we studied: striated muscles, skeletal muscles or voluntary, first one; second one smooth or involuntary muscle; and third one was the cardiac muscle. Okay. So students, these were the muscular tissue. Okay, I hope it is clear to all of you. In the animal tissue, we have discussed now all the types of tissues, that are epithelial, connective, muscular and nervous tissues. Okay, these all are very important. You need to remember the functions of all the tissues. Okay, and similarly for the plants also, we discussed a lot about plants also. Okay, the meristematic tissue, permanent tissue. Okay, in that there was simple and complex tissue, the simple tissues, then the complex tissue was xylem and phloem. Okay students, so this is what we have studied we have completed the chapter tissues. Okay, now it's up to you that you have to study it, you have to learn it, you have to make the notes and you have to solve the exercise. Okay, but before completing or before stopping the video, let's take a look at what is given in the NCERT. What you have learned. Okay, there are certain points given. We have discussed all the points, but let's take a look at them quickly. Okay, page number 78, what you have learned. The first point is tissue is a group of cells similar in structure and function. Okay, we discussed in the definition of the tissue. Then plant tissues are of two main types, meristematic and permanent. I told you how the permanent tissues are formed. They stop dividing, the meristematic tissue stops dividing. Okay. Third point is meristematic tissue is the dividing tissue present in the growing regions of the plant. I told you, means they can be present in the tip or they can be below the trunk. Okay, we discussed various type of meristematic tissue. Okay student, remember the name of different types of meristematic tissue. They were apical meristem, lateral meristem and intercalary meristem. Okay, very important. Apical meristem present at the growing tip of stem and roots. Lateral meristem present beneath the bark, responsible for growth in width, and intercalary meristem present at the internodes, which increase the length of the nodes. Okay. The next point is permanent tissues are derived from meristematic tissue once they lose the ability to divide. I told you, when the meristematic tissue lose the ability to divide and they are specified to perform a specific function, okay, specialized to perform a specific function, means they will do this particular function, then they are known as permanent tissues. Okay, again they are classified as simple tissues and complex tissue. If I say the simple tissues are parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Okay, next point is parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma are three types of simple tissues. Xylem and phloem are the types of complex tissues. We have discussed parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma in detail also. The cells of parenchyma were living, oval, elongated, loosely packed. Okay, functions were also clear. Special type of parenchymas were discussed like chlorenchyma and arenchyma. Collenchyma was also discussed. Its main function was to mechanical support to plant, provide flexibility to the plant. Okay, then the sclerenchymatous, the cells were dead. Okay, they make the hard because they are made up of lignin, they are composed of lignin. Okay, so it makes them hard. The function was to make the part of plants hard and stiff and provide mechanical strength. Okay, and one more type we studied in the simple, that was protective tissue. Okay, we studied protective tissue under the simple. Then we studied xylem and phloem. Xylem conducts water, phloem conducts food. Clear students? Then we moved on to the next point. Animal tissues can be epithelial, connective, muscular and nervous tissue. Okay students, next point, see, depending on the shape and function, epithelial tissue is classified as squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated and glandular. All these words have been discussed with you. Okay, ciliated when the cilias are present, hair like structures; glandular when they infold and secretes certain enzymes, that is why they are known as glandular. Okay. Then see the next point. The different types of connective tissue in our body include areolar tissue, adipose tissue, bone, tendon, ligament, cartilage and blood. Okay, these were the different types of connective tissue. This we have discussed in this video only. Areolar tissue, adipose tissue, bone, tendon, ligament, cartilage and blood. We discussed the plasma. Okay. Then next point is striated, unstriated and cardiac are the three types of muscle tissues. Okay. And the last point is nervous tissue is made up of neurons that receive and conduct impulses. Okay, students, we have discussed it. What are the striated, why they are called striated, why they are called skeletal and why they are called voluntary. Then the smooth muscles or the unstriated muscles, why they are called involuntary muscles, and the third one, that was the cardiac muscle. Okay, students. So students, this concludes our chapter. Now read this chapter properly, make the notes, learn it. Okay, do the exercise that is given in the NCERT. Okay, and keep studying, take care of yourselves. Thank you.